And this is really nice. Both of these are 6 speeds, and it shows which gear you're in right here, and of course with the tach right in the center and the speedometer right over here. Hey, I'm Jonathan Sewell at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise, and I'm standing with 2 beautiful Miatas. One is a beautiful club, the other a Grand Touring, and we're going to talk about the differences in equipment. And let's jump in before the rain comes. More car vids. More car vids. Okay, let's get started up front on this club. And I had a video last night, or shot one last night on this one with the lights on, and it was dirty, but now we've got it cleaned. Of course, we got some cloud coverage from the rain coming, but you can see the club is 17-inch wheels. Of course, this is a RF model, so RF, you start with the club, then you can go up to the Grand Touring. This is in beautiful jet black mica, so it matches the black alloy wheels, which are 17 inches. So you can see that this ties in really well. Also, the club has the longer brilliant black front underbody spoiler there, and looks really nice, really aggressive looking. Keeps, of course, the wind going around the vehicle instead of underneath it. You know, keep that low clearance there. And as we look at other clubs, this is still going to be black. So it ties in here, and this is going to be black. So you have that on other clubs as well. This one being black, it's just almost all blacked out. I guess what I need to do is tint the windows, and we'll be good to go. So not too many differences on these two between the club and the Grand Touring until you get inside. So have LED lights up front. You have the camera up top for your smart city brake support and lane departure. The one thing that you're not having, as we'll talk about inside, is your automatic high beams. So on the club does not have automatic high beams, but everything else is fairly similar. If this Grand Touring was an RF, you'd see the same setup for the most part. And let's jump inside and talk about those differences. Here's the beautiful interior of the Miata and the Miata Club. So you do carry in the body color up top, and you can see the soft touch door panels with the silver stitching, which matches right into the cloth seats with silver stitching, which is really nice. And of course, you have a Bose System 9 speakers in this club. A couple of things to talk about. As you see, we have a 4.6 inch LCD right there. Sneak in here. And this is really nice. Both of these are 6 speeds, and it shows which gear you're in right here, and of course with the tach right in the center and the speedometer right over here. Very sharp looking leather wrapped steering wheel with silver stitching. And you have the same infotainment system, a 7-inch touchscreen at low speeds, heated seats on the club, manual controls for your fan speed and air conditioning, of course push button start, and here's your retractable fastback controls here, and 2 USBs. And as you see there, this one is smartphone compliant for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have your cup holders right here. You have one, and then of course storage back here that is locking, and we've got the other cup holder right here. This one just has your standard intermittent wipers and standard LED headlights, of course. I think that's really about all to talk about. Let's jump next door to the beautiful Soul Red GT. Starting up front, you can see the difference on those 2 front bumper trims there. This one's all the way across, and this one is just the piece there, and it's a matte finish. There is a difference with the headlights though. These are LED as well. However, they're also adaptive, so they will turn with the steering wheel to give you a little bit better visibility. And as we'll see inside, they're also automatic, so auto on and off. Same style wheel here, 16-inch, but of course it's machined look, which looks great, especially with your polymetal or machine gray, and does kind of pop on the Sewell red here. This one, of course, is a soft top Grand Touring. So you see the sunscreen right there. And also on the Grand Touring, you have this piano black molding over the headrest, which is really sharp. Just to show you the difference here, this RF, you have the clear piece, the clear plastic. You will have that you will not have that on the that panel there on the Club. So that's one of the differences there. And then the RFs both have those clear pieces. As you continue around the back, of course, both have backup cameras, both have the same powertrain, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And of course, one thing I did not mention is that you do have Sirius satellite radio on both with the Bose 9-speaker system. And let's just jump inside to continue that conversation here. Well, before we do that, look right here. This is color keyed instead of black, so I know it ties in well on the Club behind me, but it is color keyed on the Grand Touring. Open this up. Of course, the first thing that you notice is the beautiful leather interior. This one is the black, so it's also black with silver stitching. Very similar seat design, just leather wrapped or leather face seating. Do have the Bose up here as well, and do have heated front seats also. A couple things that we notice as we slide in here: the same gauges, same setup, same infotainment, with exception of the nav card down here is now standard, and that also gets you with the Sirius. It gets you 3 years of travel and traffic link, so a lot of other features that you can control right in here. And of course, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. On the Grand Touring, it's wireless Apple CarPlay, which is really nice. And as you look up top here, this rear mirror does have HomeLink, and it's auto dimming instead of just the day-night that the Club has. Also, with the iActive Sense, you, as mentioned before, you have the auto feature on the headlights, which gives you the auto high beams, and you also have the auto wiper setting right here. So you have auto wipers. And one of the things I love about the Miata is, of course, paddle shifters. It's really fun to drive, keep your hands on the wheel. And this one, I misspoke before. This is not the same powertrain because this is an automatic. But you do have a sport mode here, and can toggle into manual mode and shift those back and forth. Of course, they both had the commander here, and both had a position for cup holders. So, with the fact that these are different between automatic and manual, that leads me to another conversation that we'll talk about, and I will pop the hood to talk about those differences on these two cars. All right, we got some wind picking up now with this clouds coming in, but a couple of differences to talk about. Of course, these are the exact same engines. You have a 2-liter with 181 horses underneath the hood of both of these vehicles. So a couple of differences that we'll point out right here. The first thing is that you'll notice this shock tower brace or strut brace right here to help keep it more stable. This is a manual transmission feature, and so a little bit more stable in as far as performance. Also, you'll have Bilstein dampers on these front suspension, or all the suspension around, and because it is that manual transmission, you get those. And back here you have, because it's rear wheel drive, you have a limited slip rear axle. So a lot more performance built in on the manual transmissions. Now going over here, these are going to be more of your standard, you can see the setup here, standard suspension on this Grand Touring. And if it was a manual, it would have the same treatments that we were just talking about, with the Bilstein dampers, with the brace, and the limited slip. So the fact that it's an automatic, you don't get as much performance, but the engine's exactly the same, and horsepower is exactly the same. So a lot of fun between these two. All right, here's a look at the MX-5 Club versus the MX-5 Grand Touring. So I hope that you were able to see the differences. If you have any questions or comments on these vehicles, as always, drop them down below, or you can call or text me at 334-718-0504. Before we finish up, I did want to show you back here in the boot. Most people are asking about the different size that is here, and definitely you can see this is pretty deep and does have a capability of a couple of overnight bags, maybe 2 cases of water, just trying to use a few items, and you have a sealant kit, so no longer do you have spare tires. So in this generation you just have the sealant kit. But I like having these struts back here, and like keeping it back out of the way so that you can load your stuff, and then it just pops itself right back up there. So I really like that. So again, the Grand Touring soft top automatic and the Club RF manual. Which of these suits your fancy? Comment below which equipment you'd rather have, the Club or the GT. And of course, manual or automatic, I know that that's going to be a split a certain way, because 2/3 of all Miatas are manual. If you have any other questions or comments, you know how to reach me, and I'll see you on the next car vid. And I really can't wait to see you in one of these beautiful Mazdas.